My son told his stepdad to stop acting like his father, and my ex told him she loved his stepbrother more. Now she's trying to bribe him with expensive gifts, but it's not working. My son Damien is 16 years old. I divorced his mom more than a decade ago. She remarried about a year ago to a man named Rick, who has an 8-year-old son from a previous marriage. But it's like they had him together, because she's fully embraced him as her own. So now Damien has a little stepbrother. Until recently, custody was 50-50, I had him half the time, she had him the other half. Since we both live in the same city, logistics were never an issue. Damien has always been polite with Rick, but he's had his reservations. At first, he tolerated him. But once Rick started acting like a real dad, giving lectures, setting curfews, making comments about how a man should behave, things got messy. Rick isn't abusive, just pushy and arrogant. His attitude is basically, I married your mom, so you owe me respect. The blow-up happened 2 weeks ago. I wasn't there, but Damien told me what happened. Apparently, Rick tried to punish him for not washing the dishes the right way. Damien snapped and said something like, "You're not my dad. Stop acting like it." He was tired, he had done the chore, just not to Rick's standard. I haven't seen how he does dishes at their place, but judging by how he does them here, I have no complaints. They're just dishes. But Rick loves picking at little things so he can scold Damien and impose his dad role. That was also when my ex completely lost it. In front of Rick and the little one, she told Damien, "You know, I love your brother more. He's my real family now." Damien walked out of the house and texted me to pick him up. I was there in 15 minutes. He didn't say much, but when we got home, he went straight to his room and shut the door. Later that night, he opened up to me. Turns out, this wasn't the first time she'd made comments about favoring her younger son. Usually, it was indirect, comparing how easy the little one was because he listened to Rick, or saying, "He's the one who makes me happy." Damien had never told me before because he didn't want me to start a fight. Up until then, I had no idea how bad things were. But that night, it was like a dam broke and everything poured out. The next morning, I called a lawyer. I've always tried to keep the peace for Damien's sake, to co-parent cordially with my ex. But if his mom is openly telling him she loves her other child more, and letting the stepdad treat him this way, that's emotional harm. I told my lawyer everything, and we began the process to get full custody. I didn't warn my ex, she found out when she was served. She blew up my phone with messages saying I was making a mountain out of a molehill, that Damien was just being sensitive, that I was using this to take him away from her. I didn't respond. I let the lawyers handle it. For now, Damien is with me full-time while emergency custody is processed. I can already see he's more relaxed here, not having to deal with his stepdad. He still texts his mom, but it's surface level, no deep conversations. I'm not the type of dad who badmouths the other parent to my kid. I told Damien his relationship with her is his decision. But I'm not going to stand by while she treats him like a second-class son. Part of what we talked about that night was that he doesn't want to go back and live with his stepdad. He's only 16, but at least in this state, he can't choose which parent to live with on his own, a judge has to decide. I know custody battles can get ugly, but I'm ready. My lawyer says we have a solid case, with Damien's statement and notes from his old therapist about tension in his mom's house. She'll probably fight dirty, but I'm prepared. I'm sharing this here because I know some of you have been through custody battles where one parent showed obvious favoritism. How did it turn out? How did it affect your child long term? And what did you do to make sure your kid didn't feel stuck in the middle? Update 1. The bribery has started. His mom showed up at my door unannounced with a shopping bag. Inside was the newest video game console, 2 brand new controllers, and 3 of the hottest new releases. She handed it to him on the porch without even saying hello to me, then left. Damien thanked her, he's polite, but once inside he rolled his eyes. "This is just so I'll go back over there," he said. I told him he didn't have to feel pressured by a gift, that nothing changes what happened, and that he's free to do what he thinks is right. Over the next week, it escalated: new sneakers, an expensive watch, a pile of gift cards. Then she called to say she was going to buy him the car he's been dreaming about since he was 14, a used bright blue Mustang, the exact model he's talked about for years. Now that he's 16, he'd be ready for the car once he gets his license. When he told me about the car, I could see the conflict on his face. He said he felt, well, thrilled, because it's his dream car, but at the same time, he knew exactly why she was doing it. I told him to think about why she was giving it to him, not just what she was giving. I said, a car is nice, sure, but so is knowing your mom loves you and protects you. He nodded, but didn't say anything. Meanwhile, Rick messaged me out of the blue. His text said, "You can't compete with the life we're giving him. We offer stability, a big family, and things you'll never be able to afford." I didn't hold back. I replied, "You can't buy respect. And you sure as hell can't buy love. And you're definitely not offering stability when his mom tells him she loves another child more." Damien also told me Rick has been acting like a completely different person with him. Suddenly he's sending friendly texts, asking for help with projects, offering to take him driving so he can practice for his license. Damien said it all feels fake, like Rick is just doing what his mom told him to. Then came the talk. Apparently Rick sent him a voice message, saying divorce can affect people, and that a father should never try to turn a child away from his mother. Damien told me he didn't even respond, he didn't want to argue. The most concerning thing so far is that my ex has shown up at his school. Twice now. Both times during lunch. The first time, Damien was caught off guard and went with her. The second time, he told her he had plans with friends, and she guilt-tripped him, saying he was choosing them over his own mother. I've started documenting every single incident and sharing them with my lawyer. She's not even subtle about it. She's posting publicly on social media about what a great mom she is, with photos of the gifts she's been giving Damien. An acquaintance sent me screenshots. One of her captions literally said, "When you can give your kids a better life, they'll see who really cares." Even Damien's friends have noticed. One of them asked if his mom had won the lottery, because it looks like she's spending money she doesn't have. I don't think she and Rick actually have that much money. But I don't know their finances, and honestly, I don't care to. I'm not naive, I know part of Damien wants to believe this means she's changed. But every time he comes back from seeing her, it's obvious he hasn't forgotten what she said. He talks less about her now. And when he does, it's mostly about the gifts, not anything emotional. I've told him more than once, this isn't a competition for your love. You can have a relationship with her, but you don't have to, not just because she's giving you expensive gifts. I'm making it clear to him, he controls how much contact he wants with her. Right now, she's in full campaign mode. Gifts, public appearances, forced interactions. This isn't parenting. It's PR. I honestly think if she tried to fix things the way Rick is pretending to, by actually showing care and respect, their relationship would improve. But instead, she's taking the easy road, trying to buy love. And Rick? He's acting like the devoted husband in all this. But I can see the cracks. From what I can tell, he's not thrilled with how much money she's spending. And from the tone of the few messages he sent me, I can tell she's stressed. Whether they have the money or not, this level of spending isn't good for them. But I'm not an accountant, and it's not my priority. My priority is keeping Damien steady. I'm not trash-talking her in front of him. I'm not telling him to reject the gifts. But I am making sure he knows, this is not how healthy relationships work. The court will see it for what it is. I'm documenting everything. She's not just trying to win him back, she's running a full-blown marketing campaign to sell herself as the best mom. The problem is, Damien is old enough to see the strings behind the show. Update 2. It's been a few weeks since my first post. I thought things might settle down, but if anything, it's only gotten more awkward and chaotic. I'm starting to realize my ex isn't just trying to win Damien back. She's actively trying to make me look like the problem. A mutual friend told me they ran into her at a gathering. Apparently, she was talking about me, saying Damien is confused and that once he sees everything she's doing for him, he'll realize she's the better parent. Those kinds of comments don't even make sense. He's not 5 years old. He's 16. Rick isn't impressed by flashy gestures and expensive gifts. He knows who's really been there for Damien, and who hasn't. But my ex says these things to people we both know, like she's planting seeds. I also heard from mutual friends about a big argument between Rick and my ex one night. Apparently, she confided in someone, and word got back to me. Rick accused her of being obsessed with winning Damien over, and of neglecting their marriage. As I mentioned before, Rick doesn't seem happy about the level of spending. Publicly, he supports her, but privately, he doesn't look too pleased with how things are going. I figure he's conflicted, trying to be the kind of father he wants to be for Damien, while also not wanting my ex to blow through their savings. From what I heard, the fight got pretty intense. It ended with my ex telling Rick, "Damien needs me more than you right now." That struck me as odd, because up until now, it's always been the opposite. I don't know whether to think she's finally realized she screwed up and is trying to fix it in the only way she knows how, or if she just hates looking like the mom who neglected her son for her husband. A few days ago, Damien told me Rick actually came to his school at dismissal. He pulled him aside and tried to have one of those man-to-man talks. But really, it was more like a smear session. Rick told Damien that I was manipulating him into hating his mom. That really pissed Damien off. He told Rick straight up that he doesn't hate his mom, he just doesn't trust her the same way anymore. But apparently, Rick kept pressing, so Damien just walked away halfway through the conversation because he didn't want to hear any more. I'm starting to see a pattern here. Rick has this need to be the dominant male figure in the house. But Damien isn't buying it. He's independent, has his own opinions, and doesn't respond well to fake authority. I think that threatens Rick's ego. This isn't just me versus my ex anymore. Now Rick's personal pride is tangled up in it too. On top of that, another friend told me my ex has been telling people that I'm the one driving Damien away from her, basically painting me as the manipulative parent. I haven't confronted her directly about it, because I don't need another screaming match. Instead, I'm saving everything, every message, every call log, every weird school incident. I've even asked a couple of people to write down what they've heard her say. If she wants to play that card in court, she'll regret it. And just to be clear, I'm not a perfect dad. I don't pretend Damien and I never argue. But there's a huge difference between giving rules and structure in my house, and what she's doing, trying to buy back his love because she said something she can't take back. Being a good parent isn't just about discipline, the way Rick tries. Discipline matters sometimes, sure, but so do listening, being present, and showing up. And showing up isn't about showering him with gifts. It's about being there as a parent. Right now, Damien's feelings toward his mom are complicated. He hasn't cut her out of his life completely, but he's definitely pulling away. He goes to visits when he has to, but when he comes back, there's this visible sense of relief. At least, that's how it seems to me. I thought this was only going to be about custody. But I'm starting to feel like we're heading towards something uglier. That's where things stand now. Update 3. Damien came home looking uneasy after a court-mandated visit with his mom. The judge gave me full emergency custody, but now these short visitation sessions have started. After dinner, he told me what was going on. Apparently, his little stepbrother let something slip. Turns out Rick has been working late a lot, and spending time with a female co-worker. The little kid didn't understand what that meant, but Damien did. And it lined up with things Damien had already noticed: Rick always on his phone, taking calls outside, running errands that made no sense. I asked Damien if he wanted to talk more about it, but he said he honestly didn't care about Rick. What bothered him was that his mom probably didn't know, and if she did, somehow she'd twist it into being his fault. That didn't matter for long, because apparently the little stepbrother must have shown the same concern to my ex. And then everything blew up. A few days later, Damien came home angry. His mom had confronted him directly, accusing him of spreading lies about Rick. She said he was trying to ruin her marriage because he was mad at her and wanted payback. She even said it was horrible of him to use his little stepbrother for this, and then, to top it off, she accused me of putting him up to it, claiming it was all part of my twisted plan. Damien told her flat out, they weren't lies. But she didn't want to hear it. After that, Damien's relationship with Rick deteriorated fast. Rick stopped pretending to be friendly. He started sending Damien text messages filled with nasty comments, a grown man, a full-grown adult, texting a teenager because he couldn't keep his temper in check. All of that is documented with my lawyer. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't even be in family court. Rick would be facing me in court after I'd put my fist through his face. Damien eventually refused to go to his mom's house on his scheduled days. He said there was no point, since she hated him for telling the truth, and Rick clearly did too. I told him I'd support his decision, but I also notified my lawyer so this couldn't be used against me. Later, my lawyer said Damien's reasons actually strengthened our case, since they showed a clear pattern of hostility in her home. Meanwhile, I started learning more about her financial situation. A mutual friend mentioned she'd been draining her savings, even taking out a personal loan or buying things on credit, all for the expensive gifts she was using to try to win Damien over. I don't know where she thought she'd get the money for the dream car she promised him, but she kept talking about it. At least, she did, until the cheating rumors exploded. Then came the final blow. Damien overheard another fight between his mom and Rick, right before he cut off visits completely. This time it was about money. Rick said something like, "You're throwing money at a kid who doesn't even want to be here." She shot back, demanding why he even worked so much if she couldn't spend that money on what she wanted. Damien asked me if this would help my custody case, because he didn't want to be forced to go back there. I told him it wasn't his burden to carry. I wanted him focused on school and living his life, not the legal fight. Still, the damage was done. Rick's hostility was obvious, the home was unstable, and my ex was burning through her credibility with Damien faster than she was burning through her savings. For now, Damien isn't seeing his mom, not even for the court-scheduled visits, while we wait for the judge's decision. I honestly hoped there'd be nothing new to update, because that would mean fewer negatives to talk about. But I promised myself I'd bring an update after the custody hearing. Update 4. The court date came sooner than I expected. By then, Damien had been staying with me full-time, so there wasn't much new to add on that front. My lawyer built the case around emotional harm, favoritism, and the instability in her home. On the day of the hearing, my ex looked tired. She was still dressed immaculately, but that smug attitude she carried at the beginning was gone. Rick wasn't there. My lawyer said that was a good thing. It kept the focus on her behavior, not on any shouting match between us. The judge didn't take long. After reviewing the evidence, including multiple witness statements and screenshots of her own words, the ruling was clear. I was granted full permanent custody. She was given visitation every other weekend and one weekday visit, both conditional on avoiding further conflict, and with Damien free to decline if he wanted. The judge specifically said her favoritism and the unstable environment in her household were harmful to Damien's well-being. Walking out of court, I didn't feel like celebrating, but I did feel relief. At least it wasn't over yet. Now, whether Damien sees his mom is his choice. He agreed in principle, but only if it was on neutral ground. For a few weeks, visits went smoothly. She was polite with him, didn't force long talks, and tried to act like a mom again. Rick wasn't around, which definitely helped. Meanwhile, rumors about Rick became public. Whatever was going on with his coworker wasn't a secret anymore. Within a couple months, he had moved out. Financially, things hit my ex hard. Between attorney fees, divorce costs, and that ridiculous spending spree trying to buy Damien's love, she was in deep trouble. She had actually bought the car, just before the custody hearing, but sold it shortly afterward. I also know she sold off some family jewelry just to keep her head above water. Eventually, she downsized into a smaller rental house. The bribery stopped. No more Rick, no more sudden expensive gifts. Either she finally realized it wasn't working, or without Rick's income it wasn't even possible. Months after the custody ruling, I got a message from Rick. It was short. He said he owed me an apology for how he treated Damien. He admitted he let his ego get in the way, and that the household had turned toxic. I didn't ask for details about him and my ex. I accepted the apology, but I didn't forgive him. He played a role in making my son feel unwanted, and that doesn't vanish with a couple of sentences. Still, I was stunned to read it. He's one of the last people I would have expected to hear that from. Damien's relationship with his mom is complicated. His visits with her eventually stopped. And not because she sold the car, he only ever got to drive it once. But then he told me he didn't even accept it, same as many of the other gifts, because they just felt weird to him. The visit stopped after one of their meetings turned into an argument. They exchanged some harsh words, and he decided he'd rather not see her anymore. Now, at least, he isn't forced to. It's his choice whether he wants contact or not, without the court mandating anything. Edit: a lot of people are asking if Damien's mom has tried to appeal the custody ruling. She hasn't. From what I've heard, she did meet with another attorney after the ruling, but was told her chances were slim unless something drastic changed in my household. She didn't want to risk more legal fees without a guaranteed different outcome. Since then, her visits have stopped, because Damien has chosen not to see her after the most recent incidents. At first, I thought she might try to behave and earn back some trust. But in the past few months, it looks more like she's simply given up, or that she just doesn't care anymore. In the beginning, she at least made an effort to keep some connection, even if it was just through text. But now, there's not even that. The other night, I asked Damien when the last time was that he'd spoken to her, and he said he couldn't remember. Some people have also asked about Rick. I haven't had any contact with him since that single apology message. Damien hasn't seen him since before the custody hearing either, so I have no idea what he's up to. The little info we do get comes through Damien's half-brother. They still text now and then. According to him, Rick moved in with someone else not long after he left. From what Damien's stepbrother said, this new person wasn't the coworker involved in the affair, though I could be wrong. I don't have much detail on that. As for my ex's finances, I really don't know. I haven't spoken with her, and I doubt she'd share that with me anyway. What I do know is that she's been ordered to pay child support, and so far the checks are coming in on time. I can cash them without issue, so I have no complaints or reasons to talk to her. Update 5. Thanks to a few mutual friends, I've pieced together some more information. I could have just tacked this onto my last post as an edit, but it would have been too long. Let's talk about Rick, honestly one of the most confusing and bizarre people I've ever known. During the divorce, it came out that he had been cheating on my ex. That's how she managed to secure a decent settlement. Why he sent me that apology message will probably always be a mystery. This same guy, the one who tried to impose himself as a father on my son, who cheated, who caused so much damage, apologizing? To me, it's as strange as seeing a three-headed monkey. Maybe it was a moment of clarity, maybe depression, maybe guilt. People can be unpredictable and do things that don't make sense. What I do know about my ex is this: the settlement she got, plus her debts. I don't have exact numbers, but I've heard she returned some of the expensive gifts in order to get money back. For many others, though, she just lost the money outright. From what I've pieced together through friends, her debt is somewhere between $17,000 and $75,000. That includes not only the ridiculous spending spree to try to buy Damien back, but also divorce attorneys, custody attorneys, and even luxury spending to treat herself, spas, pricey gifts for herself, and so on. Sorry I don't have more concrete details. It's not like she and I are in contact right now, and even if we were, these wouldn't be the kinds of things we'd talk about. All I can say is this: at least she's paying her share of child support, and my son is doing well. And in the end, that's the only thing that matters.